Okay, guys. So if you all love, I'm facing the camera myself.
Okay.
So I'll get to you guys soon. So if you all love Scooby Doo, here's another cast panel. Yes.
I'm shocked and jealous that you
Would you all introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, I'm Dante Yore. I am the director of Mystery Incorporated.
I'm Dade Elza. I play Fred, and I'm the creator.
Looking out a dirty old window, down below the cars in the...
I'm Jessica Chancellor, and I play Daphne.
Friday night and everyone's moving. I can feel the heat.
I'm Chris Willen, and I play Shaggy.
We're the kids in America. We're the kids in America.
Oh wait, you're Chris Willen? Get out! I've seen your videos. You were awesome. You are a great Disney fan.
How's it going? How y'all doing? Welcome. How's your weekend so far?
It's good.
Good. I'll take mine off. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see the crowd. This whole weekend's just been fog, or just blindness.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You guys having a good con?
Yes.
Well, hey, there you go. You were here yesterday, don't mind me.
Oh yeah, that begs the question. Where's the actress who plays Velma?
We're the kids in America. We're the kids in America.
She lost her glasses and she can't find them.
Good one.
No,
Great
she
minds think alike.
actually had something come up and she's not able to be here. So, yeah, so it's just...
She's a ghost.
But she sends her love and she says hello to everyone. So,
Jinkies.
jinkies indeed. Yes. We're actually going to solve the mystery of her disappearance right after this.
All right. Anybody excited for some other stuff that's happening today in the whole convention? Anybody looking out? Anybody get some awesome autographs?
Yeah, already got mine from
yeah.
Justin Nemo, who played Justin Nemo, the guy who played Zane in Power Rangers in Space. He played the Silver Ranger.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought you said Baron Zemo, and I'm just like. I'm so sorry. I wouldn't be in here if he was here.
I wouldn't blame you. It's these damn masks we have to wear.
If you guys head to the voice actor room, my friend Chris Turtley-Fair is in there. He is in Mystery Incorporated. So, yeah, go say hey.
I love this. He's like one of my favorite people.
Well, I can't tell you who
He's
he
great
is.
too. Yeah.
Spoiler.
It's a spoiler, but he's there. So, I'm just going to plug him for a second. He's a good dude.
He's a character. I love him to death.
He is. We used to live together.
Really? That's legit. I bet that was fun, like all the time. Were any dishes done? I see him as somebody who doesn't do dishes. Is that am I accurate?
Yes.
Wow.
I knew it.
Calling him out.
But don't tell him we said that.
Every time I have like any
don't show
interaction
him.
with him, or like any like food or anything with him, it's just like the conversation just goes completely off. I'm like, he's like me. He just forgets that they're there. Like,
He's a great guy.
Alrighty, it is now 1 o'clock. Welcome everybody. This is the Mystery Incorporated Fan Series panel. My name is Tyler. I'm from theGrandyGathering.com, but you don't care about me. You care about these amazing people who are making some awesome, nostalgic, fantastic stuff. And one by one, I know you just did it, but let's do it again with the new people. Who are you?
I'm Dante Yore. I'm the director of Mystery Incorporated.
Hey guys, I'm Dade Elza. I play Fred Jones, and I am the co-creator of Mystery Incorporated.
My name is Jessica Chancellor, and I play Daphne, and also the other half of the co-creation.
My name is Chris Willen, and I play Shaggy.
Perfect. Now, what gravitated towards, for you as a director, why did you gravitate towards Scooby Doo?
Actually, so I was doing a feature film, 616 Wilford Lane, and I had cast Jessica in that movie, and then while we were on set, she was telling me about Dade and about this Mystery Incorporated project, and it sounded like super interesting. And so I told her when we got back to LA, because we were on location for that shoot, that we should all get together and talk about what this is and what we could do with it. And that kind of turned into, you know, us sitting down and talking about, like, you know, shooting the show.
Absolutely. And from what he was saying, it seems like you guys are very attached to this, you know, not only just playing the characters, but kind of like also making sure that, you know, it would happen. So tell me a little bit about that experiences of, you know, bringing it together.
Oh man,
It's a wild ride.
it is a wild ride. I've been working with the concept for years, honing it into what it is today. It's gone through many different variations, but it's actually how Jess and I met, was through this project. But it was a crazy wild ride, just figuring out the concept and how to get it to the place where it worked. And then thankfully, through the crazy thing that is our industry, Jess and Dante met, and then I got to meet Dante and pitch the script to him, and we got to do this crazy creative process and figure out how to bring it to life. And honestly, it's such a whirlwind of how we were able to make it work. I couldn't go step by step and tell everybody because it was crazy how it fell into
It
place.
was like a perfect
So
storm.
thankful.
Perfect storm, truly. We originally had this concept as Data has it as a horror movie, like straight, gory, awful horror, and
Didn't work.
it didn't work. Did not work. It was a good try. It was a good try and a good practice for creating the show that we have now, which is much more grounded, much more realistic, still scary but not horror. And I think we have something really special that I cannot wait for you guys to see.
So excited.
Absolutely. So, you know, this is a very huge franchise, something that's gone back to, I think, what, the 50s? I mean,
69.
69. I was
Nice.
way off. That was
That was close. That was
50,
close.
60, same thing. But I mean, this, like, with all this history, I mean, how much did you guys want to, you know, kind of bring into this, or did you want this to be kind of like a fresh slate homage?
Oh, so much. It's completely derived from the original incarnation of Scooby Doo. Like Scooby Doo, Where Are You? Is where we get our character interpretations from. But there's a lot from like future interpretations, like the 13 Ghosts of Scooby Doo, What's New Scooby Doo. We wanted to make sure that we were very true to the source material, but also give it a spin that is our own and is a fresh take. So the characters are all from there, but the story is uniquely our own, with playing off of some stories that you might know. And
I'd say that we took the characters that you know and love, like you know Shaggy. Shaggy is scared all the time and always eating, and you know you have these tropes that come with him that make him him. We took all of these things from the cartoon that were so wacky and iconic, but grounded them. We took them and we brought them to our world and we made them our own. So yes, we pulled so much from the cartoon reference-wise, but when you watch this show, like, it's such a good, unique concept that it could not be Scooby-Doo and it would still be a good show. It's very iconic.
Yeah, I think as far as like the characters and inspirations and stuff, it's less of as if these characters step directly out of the cartoon, but more so how these characters would exist in like a real life today. And so, like Jess was saying, a lot more grounded, a lot more like realistic, and like what does Shaggy's excessive eating and things like that look like, or how is that interpreted in today's time?
absolutely, think like Supernatural from CW meets like Riverdale from CW, but in
Yes.
the world of Scooby-Doo is what we were aiming for.
Don't look back, you may find another clue. The Scooby snacks will be waiting here for you. What's this Scooby-Doo?
You're gonna know a Fred from your life. You're gonna know a Daphne from your life, a Shaggy from your life, a Velma from your life. You're gonna recognize these characters in the real world.
Absolutely, and hopefully you'll enjoy all the Easter eggs that we threw.
Oh yes, there's also a mountain of Easter eggs. So if you are a hardcore fan and you know all these series, you look very closely.
Awesome. What about you?
I mean, Dave was the one who, Dave and Jess were the ones who came up with the concept for this. My biggest thing hopping in was just, it was like a trove of like going through like everything from like the original Scooby Doo series to Mystery Incorporated to like the actual films with like Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Like we kind of went through all of the content before we started the series because we were working on a whole series Bible. I mean, this is going to be a whole entire like season 1 of the show, and then move on to season 2, season 3. And so it was really like building out, like looking at all of the previous like monsters and villains, looking at previous characters from different iterations, looking at different backdrops and trying to find a way to like almost like grab pieces and pay homage to all of those things while also creating our own thing. And so I think that was like an interesting thing, just delving through everything that was Scooby-Doo and all of its iterations and being like, what can we take from here, what can we take from there? Because I think having like a show that started in '69 and growing this big is like you have audiences from all different age tiers who found it at a different point in their life. Yeah. So, the Scooby-Doo, I might remember, the 1969 version is something where, somebody who's 10 or 11, they have no, connection to that one series, but they have a connection to a newer one like the Scoob movie that came out. And so it was just trying to find all of those things and say like, okay, what can we grab that are like constant in this show? They kind of pay homage to every iteration of Scooby-Doo without like completely like mocking it or mimicking it. And how do we take all that and then turn it into our own thing? So that one I think was the biggest one in pre-production, which is all sitting down and looking at all of these different, things that are Scooby-Doo, including like comic books, like there's so many things. Like there's so many iterations of Scooby-Doo.
So many different places that they live.
Yeah, so many different places they live, so many characters that exist or didn't exist depending on the iteration, so many times that, characters were dating, then they weren't dating, and there was just so many things to kind of dive into and say like, okay, like we're making our own thing, but how do we, in a sense, not piss off 60 years worth of fans in different different categories of this show? So that was a fun journey. I think we're walking the line really well, and I think our map out for season 1 and beyond is really like walking that line where we're creating something that is original while still giving the fans of tons of different versions of this, something that they're going to smile at or see an Easter egg for and really enjoy.
Absolutely.
And now that I know you guys have like all this patience and time, and like you're less than 40 years old, like being able to watch thousands and thousands of episodes and stuff. So when are you guys gonna make, like your own Batman movie since you just have all this time? No, but
too much.
Yeah, right. But to kind of bounce off what you were saying, Chris, this question's for you. As we all know, Matthew Lillard is a walking god. I want to know, what is your power level? And how did you approach the role of Shaggy?
Oh gosh. Okay, so when Jess and Dade approached me about playing the role, literally the first thing I thought of, I was like, there's zero way I can come anywhere in the universe of Matthew Lillard. So like, let's just move that out of the way. Because that's not gonna happen. But what interested me the most was that this version of Shaggy wasn't really was related to the cartoon, but it was the more realistic aspect that kind of like intrigued me, because I was like, oh, okay, so this is less pressure on like doing a Shaggy voice or like mimicking Shaggy's kind of like little catchphrases and stuff, and more so I get to put my own twist on it and like make him what he would be like in real life. And if I had to say my power level compared to Matthew Lillard, I would be a before Padawan, and he would be like Yoda.
Got it.
But you are Matthew Lillard approved, as is the series.
Yes.
Apparently so.
He's seen the trailer that we put out, and he's tweeted about it, and that is the most exciting thing I think that's happened.
That is
so far.
fantastic. Yeah. I hear he's like the loveliest person, but I'm still scared to meet him. I don't want him to.
I'm like, when this blows up, you know what I mean, and we're like doing super cool things, I'm terrified. I'm terrified of the moment where I'm just gonna be like, I'm so sorry, thank you, okay, bye.
There's gonna be a Shaggy reunion panel, and he's just gonna take up like 3 of the chairs, and everybody else is just gonna be like squished up over here.
I'll be there with like a palm leaf just standing. Perfect.
He'll have dumb people. He'll have like, this is an aura. All the chairs will be like just like going backwards like a anti-magnet. We'll get off of this, sorry. We can talk about Matthew Lillard all day. No, but there's such a rise of all this gritty, awesome realism, which I think is actually really important because not only for things that are standing the test of time and that are so relatable throughout all these generations, like we have the remake. What do they call it? Not remake. Reboot. Thank you. The reboot of Fresh Prince, and then you have y'all stuff. I mean, how do you feel about this is becoming such a big deal now in all media, and how are y'all trying to do it? How is this going to be different from what has been produced before?
I think that it's amazing how things are progressing in the industry, and I think that it's really cool to see something like what we're doing with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reboot. I mean, that was a guy made a trailer just like we did, put it on YouTube, and Will Smith saw it, and now Will Smith is producing it, and it's on Peacock. Like, it's really cool to see how the industry is progressing and giving fans the opportunity to create things, because like we know we're fans of it already. Of course, we're going to put the love and affection and time into making it great, and so it's really inspiring to see things like that happen. We hope that we can follow in their footsteps, and like we're very excited to show you guys what we're working on. It's a labor of love, and we couldn't be more excited and proud.
I think too that we are telling a story with these iconic characters that hasn't been told before, and I think that the reboot's really, rather than it be like, hey, we're telling the story again, we really want to take iconic characters that and we want to tell a fresh spin on it, and we want to really dive into. So when you think about Scooby-Doo, you think about Scooby-Doo, the dog, obviously. He's like the focus of the show. And you know the other gang members, you know their personalities, but do you really know them? Not too much, just like surface level. So we're really diving into the gang and their relationships and their backstories and how did they become a team, and why are they doing the things that they're doing? Why does it matter? Why are these kids deciding to go solve mysteries? So I think that's really our special, unique take on it.
Scooby's also there though, and he's
there
also
too.
very
Yes.
cute.
Scooby's also there with fun.
Thor is the cutest boy.
Yeah,
Thor is the best boy.
I think one of the things we had to navigate, which we didn't realize in the beginning we had to navigate, was, with like YouTube and the internet, a lot of people take on very popular, intellectual properties and just put out shows, whether it's a Batman show, Power Rangers, something else, and normally they don't get any pushback, and we didn't realize when we did Scooby-Doo that there actually was going to be a conversation we had to have with Warner Brothers and the intellectual property of it. So I actually had to talk to Barry Gould, who is the director of intellectual property at Warner Brothers, because taking on Scooby-Doo, it was a little bit different. Warner Brothers was at first slightly concerned about, we were doing a very adult or kind of, grounded, realistic interpretation of Scooby-Doo, and they actually protect that property very fiercely.
I wonder why.
And so I actually had to have a conversation with them, and we had to go back and forth a little bit, and they actually gave us clearance to do the show, which was great. And so Warner Brothers, they were totally cool with it. They were letting us move forward with it. But it was such a crazy thing.
It was stressful.
Yeah, it was definitely stressful. We first launched the trailer, and we were really excited about it. And we launched the trailer, and then it got shut down, and we got this cease and desist from Warner Brothers and intellectual property. Warner Brothers basically shutting this thing down. And we were like, wow, that's so weird, because a lot of our cast members and a lot of the people we know have done so many things with whether it be a Power Rangers or an Arrow or anything else, and there's never been this pushback before of what are you doing? You can't touch this property. And so it kind of blew us away, and then I had to call them, and we had to have this whole conversation about it. And I didn't realize how adamant they were about the protection of this property. I had to explain what we were doing with it, where we were going with it, and luckily they ended up really digging that concept, and so they let us move forward with it. And they actually, went back to YouTube, told YouTube the video could go back live. They'd shut down our Indiegogo for a second because we were raising money for the series, and then I got this call from Indiegogo, and Indiegogo, I guess they got back to us, and they basically said, no one has ever retracted one of these things before. A copyright claim, and Warner Brothers actually got back to us and they're retracting their copyright claim and letting you move forward with what you guys are doing. And so they were like blown away. Like, this has never happened. Like, we get copyright claims, no one ever retracts them. And same thing happened with YouTube. Like, no one ever retracts the copyright claim. And so that was really cool. So it's nice to have that support as well, I think, for, you know, this series and just us moving into kind of a more grounded, like, realistic series was the fact that Warner Brothers understands what we're doing. They're letting us move forward with it, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Got it. So next up is the gritty live-action Mickey Mouse.
Oh my gosh. We'll let Disney handle that.
Yeah.
We don't want to touch Disney.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not going there.
No.
This is another beast.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh man, no, that's so awesome. Like, I'm so excited to see this. Like, this is so much fun. But you know, as much as you guys love Scooby Doo, I think the most endearing thing about it is the mystery of it. That's, you know, of course, with also the title. But so, what are your favorite like mystery stories of all time? They can or cannot be Scooby Doo related, but I mean, yeah.
I like true crime a lot. Is that bad?
It just depends on how much you like it. I feel like, you know.
That's right. Not that much.
That's a hard question. I mean, I hesitate to say anything other than Scooby-Doo right now, because obviously it's the forefront of my mind. But I think if you get to say true crime, I get to say anything Bigfoot related, because I'm obsessed with Bigfoot.
That's a mystery, yeah.
I would say though that like every good movie has a mystery. Every good story has a mystery in some capacity. Whether it be solving a mystery or a death or something, there's always something in the beginning of a show that you don't know, that you need to find out. So I would say that everything's kind of a mystery if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But if we're talking about like iconic mystery series, is that's what you
Sherlock
would
Holmes.
Just something you love. You're just like, this
well,
is
growing
this
up, I really enjoyed the Hardy Boys books as well as like Scooby Doo. So like I think that's a really cool one. I think that Hulu has like a new show about the Hardy
Really?
Boys even. So yeah. So
after South
and,
Park did to them, they
yeah. And then CW's got Nancy Drew. Like mystery is hot right now. So
Yeah.
it's exciting. But I've always
It's
loved
the
like, a
best.
mystery, like following the clues and solving things. And maybe that's what attracted me to Fred. Like
We do a lot of escape
leading this
rooms.
rat pack. Yeah, escape
A
rooms.
lot of escape rooms.
Amazing.
That's so cool.
I'm changing my answer to the Sherlock Holmes movies. I know people don't like those, but I do.
The show with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
those are good.
I
like those.
Every time I say it, I'm like, I like the Sherlock Holmes. Like, because I get hated on for it. I don't know, I really like those.
The director, you know, he's kind of going crazy right now, but those moves are great. Yeah.
Those are great. Those are great.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, it's hard. 'Cause I don't know if like this is considered, you know, fact or fiction, but it always gets me every time. Like anytime they touch down on like ancient civilizations and aliens, gets me every time.
triggered right now.
Where it's just like, what is this hieroglyph? Is this a helicopter? Did they have advanced technology? And I'm like, what? Did they?
I know that exact episode of Ancient Aliens you're talking about.
right.
It's wild.
I am like I'm a sucker for those, and
yeah.
like it's just like I'll scroll through YouTube and then it'll just like pop up like, is this ancient pyramid actually a teleportation device? I'm like, is it?
I think it is.
I'm like, oh, I need to watch this now. I have to know. I'm like, oh my god.
It's Giorgio's the blame, the guy with the
Yeah,
hair.
like the aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every time, you know, where it's just like, what is that? Like, is it? That does look like a helicopter hieroglyph. Like, what is that? That looks like a spaceship.
Tell me it isn't.
Like these two pyramids are like thousands of miles apart. How do they have the same drawing? Like this is so creepy.
All right,
So,
screw Mystery Inc. We're doing aliens now.
yeah, like
Don't give away season 3.
that's what I'm saying. Trust me, if our budget goes up, there's a pyramid involved somewhere in it.
I'll heard it here first.
And Oscar Isaac is going to come over and just date
Yeah,
himself.
amazing.
We got Oscar. Then we're living the life.
No
Yeah,
more body
right.
pain for Oscar.
Oh my god. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, hi. I know that you guys like you said you guys are working with an actual like Great Dane.
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of like goes into working with that? Because I understand that can be difficult when you're actually using a real animal on set and stuff. And like how much are you actually going to use him in the story?
I mean, it is based on Scooby Doo, and he's a huge part.
He's very much in it a
He's
lot.
very much
Yes.
so in the show.
I want to say, I think there's there's maybe, I don't want to ruin anything. He's in, if not every single one of my scenes.
Yes.
Maybe but he's in there.
So in the first episode, our series really isn't origin, like they're not a gang yet. So you're not really gonna see our characters interact too much. Some of them will, but Shaggy has Scooby, so you won't see him in the entirety of the episode since all of us are not in the entirety of it, but you will see him like 99% of the time you see Shaggy.
And their relationship is adorable.
Oh my gosh. So we didn't know how it would be to work with a real dog.
He was great though.
But yeah, he was amazing. He is such a good boy. The dog that we found, his name is Thor von Schultz on Instagram. He is a model. So he's used to like sitting and like, you know, having cameras at him, and he was such a good boy. We thought maybe he'd be overwhelmed or, you know, not cooperate. No, every single shot, every scene we had with him is just gold. We want to use them all, but there's only so much time.
For reference, if he's standing on his back legs, he's like a foot taller than me.
Yeah,
and like, I think he outweighs me too. Like he's a big dog.
Yeah,
big boy.
He's a big boy. But there was like this bizarre thing that would happen where like he was a dog, obviously, and then Dante would call action, and then like he was like in it, and I'm like, wait, what? And like there's not much that we could rehearse per se, obviously because he's a dog. But he had this weird way of like, just if I was speaking to him in that take, he would react like an actor would. It's so hard to explain. It's
like Stanislavski or Maya.
I don't know, but like we would do the scenes and we'd watch him like no one was directing him to like look this way or like to like lick my face or like but he would just like react like it was bizarre.
Like
it was
we straight up were like, okay, we're gonna have the dog in the scene, just sit him there. And he'll just sit there, that's fine.
And that's cool.
And
We're
that's all
settled
we're
for that, that'll be
expecting.
fine. And then he gives us like performance.
Yeah, then he like wags his tail and he'll like move his head and he licks Chris's face a few times, which is the sweetest thing.
We
He paws
communicated.
at him. Look at those little paws. Like, just wait, when you see this episode, you're gonna be like, man, they got a really great trained dog.
Yeah.
No, Thor's just awesome.
The treats really helped.
Treats really help too, yeah.
Treats led him to the right direction.
He was very treat motivated.
Yes.
With everything that we said, but he's just great. We couldn't have found anybody else.
He was awesome. I can say, like, from pouring through the editing, and Chris can attest, he's watched me pull my hair out a couple times. While he was awesome and gave great performances, it was never the same performance.
No,
So cutting shots was very difficult.
We're working on consistency.
But he was such a good boy. He did, like they said, he literally like turned on as soon as Dante called action. He would do. There were some things that we were like, okay, now do this.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. Okay, and Dante was like, I've got it. We're doing this instead. And like between Dante and Thor, they were a perfect combination.
Oh
of
no,
working together.
and Thor and Chris,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
their chemistry, you just wait. You're gonna think
telling
that
you.
Thor is his dog in real life.
He's like, I have a dog of my own. His name is Sir Lancelot. He's probably this big. And so I'm not used to like a giant dog, but I love Thor so much. And every time I see him, I can't do it.
Yeah, he's probably like this much taller than this table, at least.
I think like when he's
His
on all
head
fours,
would be here.
he sits like right
Yeah.
here. He's a big dog. It's like a little horse, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, he's like a horse, and for some reason scared of heights, and like giant dog that like is just like we'll be like Thor, get on the bed, and he's like freaking out. And I'm like, you are like twice the size of his height right now, like you know, just like lean on it. And I'm like, oh, you can do it, you know. So it's like really funny. He's still a puppy though. He's still a puppy. Yeah, he's still a puppy. So that was kind of. Yeah,
He'll probably get bigger.
Yeah, he's gonna get. I mean, I think that's the cool part about at least grabbing like a Great Dane like puppy in the show is he's still giant, but he's going to get bigger, which is kind of fun because we are doing this origin story. So even Scooby is going to grow during the show and get older, which is actually kind of fun. Instead of starting out with like an older dog, you have this younger dog. So I think Thor's only like a little bit over 1 right now, right?
Yeah.
Right, 2. Yeah. Wow. He's like, yeah, and. You know, Thor's like owners, they haven't trained so well, but I mean, kudos to Chris too, because the dog would do some stuff, but at any given time, we didn't know exactly what he would do, and he kind of just had free reign to do whatever. So Chris had to act around that in almost every scene, where we're like, I have no idea. This dog might just sit next to you, it might lick your face, it might paw you, it might do something like we don't know. Just, you know, you've got to find a way to just make that very organic, and he did a great job with that as well. So their chemistry is really great on screen. I think it's really adorable. Like, it feels like he's owned, you know, Scooby forever. You know, based on the way they play in Scream.
I have in my heart.
Thor is my favorite co-star.
So essentially,
Thor's like a diva. He's one of those actors that says, I make choices, I'll never do the same thing.
Exactly.
That's right. You're gonna get what you're gonna get.
He's like, I already gave you that take. We're moving on. I'm gonna give you something different on this one. We're like, no, just repeat. No, something completely different. Remember how I walked left? I'm gonna walk right this time. We're like, it's not gonna cut and post, Thor. It's like, it's not gonna.
I want to give you something to work with.
so you essentially found the Timothy Chalamet dogs.
Yes.
Does anybody else have any questions? All right.
Finally. So, how many episodes are there for your show, Mystery Incorporated?
Well, currently we have filmed the pilot episode, and we have 12 episodes planned for season 1.
And these are all hour-long
Jinkies.
episodes. So the first episode is actually an hour long, every
Clock's at
episode.
52 minutes.
Yeah, 52 minutes. So every episode will be an hour long. We're doing a full-fledged show. So it's going to be, yeah, like a Riverdale or Supernatural. Like, you're going to sit down. Now keep in mind, this is a 52, 53-minute episode without commercials. So like on a normal network show, you'd have commercials in between. They're usually around 40, so we're even above that. So you're going to get that for every episode, which is definitely intense.
Yes. A challenge. It was a challenge.
Having seen it myself, but like every minute of it, like 52 minutes, it's like, it doesn't feel like enough. Like, there's so much, like you want more, and like every minute of it is like jam-packed with like a lot. It's very, very exciting.
All right. You had a question?
Oh yeah. How tall are you if the dog is like a foot taller?
So I'm 5'7", and when he gets on his hind legs, he puts his paws here, and I look up him. So it's probably like 6'1", 6'2", I would say. It is a huge dog.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's a puppy. He's gonna get bigger than that. So yeah.
It is. He's very. It's.
He's a miniature horse. Yeah.
Yes. And every time I see him, I'm like, I remember him being like, okay, he's a big dog. But every time I'm like, this is a huge animal. Like, it's very big.
There was at one point during shooting, some of our actresses were just watching one of our scenes go down, and they were sitting on the floor, hanging out. And I like bend down to like talk to them about something production-wise, and then Thor, for some reason, comes running at us. And all of the girls just scattered because he's terrifying.
It was
He's huge.
scary because like.
It was like, oh no!
And his paws are like.
He's like horse.
Yeah. Once he started.
His paws are probably this big.
That was in the van scene, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, he like took off and bolted, and like you can't get in his way to stop him.
Yeah.
You just gotta get it out. Yeah.
I think that the trickiest part about like the filming days when we had Thor on for different days during the shoot was just anytime we weren't filming with Thor, everybody wanted to pet and hang out with Thor. So it was always like wrangling. Like, I'm like, all right, where's my cast? And they're like, oh, they're all petting Thor. And I'm like, get them like on the set. Like, get them. Like, everybody just wanted to hang out with Thor like the whole entire time. Like, there was literally, we were doing the garage scene with you.
Yeah.
There was like that whole thing where Thor's like laying off to the side because he wasn't in some shots. So he's like laying down, and like, I don't know, like half the cast is just like petting Thor. He was like surrounded.
At least like 8 or 9 girls.
Yeah, it was like 8 or 9 girls like surrounding. Like Thor had like a harem or something of like actresses around him. It was
He was
ridiculous.
living his best life.
Absolutely. You'll be able to see him in the remake of Black Beauty. I'm just kidding. Alrighty, anybody else have a question?
So Dante, how often did you force Chris to eat for like the perfect like shot of like biting a sandwich or something?
I'm trying to think back. Did we have one?
You have the giant sandwich like gag, which maybe we gave. Yeah, spoiler. We just gave that.
We have Scooby Snacks.
Scooby Snacks were a thing.
Yeah.
But not very. We're not leaning into the comedy. You know, it's not a comedic take. There, you may laugh a few times, but like this is a very grounded, serious take. So we aren't leaning into like, oh, Shaggy's always eating. No, you'll see these things integrated in a more grounded way. So even Scooby Snacks aren't like, do it for a Scooby Snack. Like, no, it's very grounded. Just wait.
Do I eat Scooby snacks? You'll have to watch.
There's also like Jess was saying earlier, like this is the beginning. So not only have they not met each other before, this is their introduction to the supernatural, to mysteries, to what's going on in this town and things that they've never noticed before. And so there is no like, hey, Shaggy, I know you eat a lot. Like, if I give you this Scooby snack, will you go into the creepy building? But, it's you'll see. It's like a cool thing that he and Scooby have between themselves.
You're getting a lot of bits and pieces of what you know.
Yes.
So nobody is at their peak of like character type, and even at their peak, I think it's still going to be a more grounded, more realistic version.
Absolutely.
You know, as Scooby-Doo kind of keeps going on through the ages, they adapt more to technology and stuff like that. Because, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but every decade there's like completely new technology. Are you guys? So how are you guys doing this in modern day real life technology? Because you know you can't zap through the internet like in one of the Scooby-Doo movies. So how are you guys adapting to the limitations of real technology?
Yeah, well, if you think about like a show like Supernatural, even, you know, how do they do it? It's just the ghosts and monsters are real. They're real. They're, you know, they may not be real in our world, but in their world they are. So, you know, they come with real danger.
Did you say they're not real in our world?
Oh my
Do you want to?
There's a show on History Channel.
Just saying, back to the pyramids, man.
Listen.
You have no idea.
But even I think even in our real world, there's only so much technology that I think that is even perceived as like things that can potentially charge supernatural things. And so I think in the Mystery Inc. kind of like gangs world, there is still so much mystery even with modern day technology that we just how do you find a ghost and how do you prove it's real kind of thing. And so we still kind of have that fighting for us, I think, in that sense.
Absolutely, and I mean like ancient Latin texts that unlock demons and demonic traps are still things that those never go out of style.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Anything from you?
I mean, I just, even with modern technology, I just don't, you know, in their world where ghosts are real, I don't think, you know, Apple has an app for that yet. So I don't know what
They will invent one.
Yeah. So could it progress into something like that? I don't know, maybe. We haven't really tooled around with that idea yet. I think, you know, in season 1, our characters are still just dealing with the concept that they have to accept that ghosts are real, because they do live in a world where the idea of ghosts being real isn't a thing. So trying to even accept that these ghosts might actually be real and not be, you know, just some villain behind a mask is something. Or is it a villain behind a mask? You know, so who knows? Like I said.
Yeah, even so, like these characters haven't really been in any danger. You know, they're seniors in high school. What have they done with their lives? Nothing.
Yeah.
So any sort of threat, even a large dude with a baseball bat or something would be scary to them, and they have to navigate through, you know, how they're going to handle certain situations. So just wait, it's gonna be great.
I think if anything, we have the internet to use, which no other game has had thus
That's
far.
true,
Maybe,
yeah, we have the
so
internet.
that makes
That's not
our job
true.
easier. Ish.
Okay. Well, we also in the comics and the, you know, cartoon and stuff, they have all these fanciful ideas like, oh, sure, this will work. Boopity bop, we'll set a trap. You know, and we are navigating within
bad mouthing
the
my
limits
traps.
of
I love the voice
real
that goes
life.
with it too.
But we're navigating in like the physicality of our real world, you know, like, and what plausibly could happen, and we're trying to think of realistic situations to these problems that we've created for our characters that, you know, aren't just like, look, I pulled a thing out of my pocket because we're cartoons, you know. So just it's been a very interesting writing process for sure, but really fun, challenging and fun.
Absolutely. I had a great question and I just forgot it, and it was amazing. So this is tribute to that amazing question. So how is it? Okay, no.
Was it
Yeah.
Did you have a question so I can try to remember this one? Perfect, thank you.
If a 14-year-old girl was taller than all of you guys, would you guys feel offended?
We're all pretty short. in
No,
our
we're all really short. Yeah, I've accepted that.
I don't think any of our cast is 6 feet or anything.
Except
Thor.
Except Thor. Thor's taller than all
Except
of
for
us.
Thor standing on his hind
Yeah,
legs.
so
If
I
a
think,
Great Dane
I think
is
the
taller
odds of
than
a
us-
14-year-old girl being taller than half our cast is probably very likely.
Yeah.
So it's probably very
And if a
likely.
No
14-year-old
egos here.
girl was taller than Thor on his hind legs, I'd be terrified.
I remember no question. Thank you for giving me. So for everybody who doesn't know, and including myself, are these going to be self-contained mysteries that are solved at the end of each episode, or are they going to be arcs? And not only that, what are the pros and cons of doing them as arcs or Monster of the Week episodes?
Oh, that is an awesome
We can't
question.
talk about that.
Really good question.
It's
It's a really good question.
But here's the thing, like with our show, we have the potential to do that. Like the world is our oyster. With mysteries, you can do, a mystery of the week, you can do an arc, you can do multiple at the same time, we're not restricted, and we have some amazing plans mapped out that we cannot wait to bring to reality and show you guys.
I think the best way to answer that question is to talk in reference to like Supernatural.
Yeah.
So in Supernatural, a lot of times there is like a monster of the week, but there is the overarching story for the season, and there's the overarching for the first couple seasons it was the yellow-eyed demon.
Yeah.
And so like there is like the one thing above all that is the main goal for the season, the main thing that eventually brings everyone together. But there are you will see things like everybody who's seen the trailer knows episode 1 is Minor 49er, and so there will be Minor 49er or the Creeper. Or the Black Knight Ghost will come in periodically. So I guess a hybrid question mark is the best way to answer.
No problem. Yeah.
It's a very vague yes.
So I guess with that, we'll forget about the first part of my question. But the second part of the question: what are the pros and cons of doing that? You actually think, when you watch something, of doing arcs or just doing Monsters of the Week, like Flash versus Riverdale?
Dante has a good answer.
Sure. I mean, I think the one thing is with having a bigger arc for the season or for the show. It just kind of gets you ingrained into having to go into the next episode when things are very just Monster of the Week per an episode. Once it ends, you're kind of oh, okay, I watched that episode, that was great. But when you kind of leave it on this bigger cliffhanger, it's one of those things where you end up having to binge watch. Oh, now I gotta watch the next episode. Oh, now I gotta know what's happened, and it kind of keeps you a lot more interested. I think beyond that, it's also just, it takes a lot more effort to kind of, write and craft that, because you have to come up with what's happening in this episode, but then what's happening in the season as a whole, and then how does that move into season 2 and season 3, and then can that spawn off into a whole universe? And we've had all of those conversations, and I can't really tell you about all of those conversations, but we have had them. And I think that's what makes it interesting, is the fact that you want to progress forward in the season. You want to know there are going to be questions that aren't necessarily answered in one episode, where you're going to have to watch the next episode to find that answer. And so I think that just keeps people engaged, where it doesn't get stale, it doesn't get boring. If it's just the Monster of the Week, and every week the gang finds a way to solve the problem and moves on, which is kind of what the show did a little bit. The first, at least the 1969 show, kind of did a little bit, was just Monster of the Week and underlining art. It's great, but it also makes it kind of hit and miss, where you didn't have to watch every single episode. You could miss a couple episodes and hop back in, and that's always enjoyable. But I think it's more fun going back, especially because this is going to be, at least for the moment, it's going to be, on YouTube. It's free. It's available to everybody. It's if you hop in and episode 3 is out, you can always go back and watch episode 1 and 2. They'll still be there. So it's not going to limit you from trying to catch back up, which I think is one of the powers we're sticking with.
Absolutely. And with it being season 1 as well, and really honing in on and developing what's going on in this town, it's never happened before. All of a sudden there's this crazy thing, and the gangs coming together. It lends itself to the story better to have an overarch as well, so that it's not just like, oh, what? There's a random chainsaw guy here too? That's crazy. Shaggy, come on board. Like, so it makes it to where it's like a much more streamlined story and gives reason for like, oh, this thing happened, and it was like a series of unfortunate events, pardon my pun, to like everyone like finding a way to like, wow, we need each other, and this is the only way we're gonna stop it.
Absolutely. I love the answers. Adam, thank you so much. Alrighty, you have to ask two questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, so at what point is Flynn Clan going to make an appearance in the show?
Spoilers!
That's a no answer territory.
No, but here's a nice vague answer.
Yes,
is
please.
that when you look through the universe, there are so many iconic characters that we are potentially recreating in our own way and putting them in our universe. So we've definitely, as fans, decided this is such a rich universe, we want to use everything possible. So we have a lot of plans to take a lot of your familiar characters and put them in our world.
That was the best answer.
Yes.
Vague. So
Avoid the answer.
Alrighty.
So pretty much the word you guys were looking for a few minutes ago was you're trying to keep your audience on their feet for like each episode, because it could be going on and it will be, but the episodes can change little by little, and some of the audience won't realize that. And so they go back through and rewatch that episode a second time.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
That's good mystery
Thank
right
you.
there.
Exactly that.
I rewatched like Knives Out like 4 times.
Another excellent mystery.
Yeah,
I never stood out of my chair so fast in my entire life. Like, what? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the show, like, you know, we sat down in pre-pro and like we did a really good job of like with the episodes, like how do we bake in Easter eggs, how do we bake in, you know, little seeds that can grow into plants later, in a sense. So we have a lot of that buried in there. I mean, there's so much in episode 1. Like, there's so many Easter eggs. There's so many
Easter
hints
eggs
to
on
things.
ramp. I was gonna say we have such a high rewatch rate. I think, or we will, just because like even I'm going back and we're going back and we're like, I forgot that was in there. This is so cool. We're good at our job.
Yeah, like that's the beauty of fans of the project, like fans of the source material, creating a brand new thing with it, is that you're gonna have very genuine, you know, things throughout the episode to look forward to, and as fans to be really excited about.
And like Dante was saying, like, I mean, we can't talk about the conversations, but they have happened where we talk about like, not just creating this show, but creating a world in which they exist, which is the Hanna-Barbera universe, right? And so when we say cameos, we're not just saying from Scooby Doo. Like anything Hanna-Barbera is on the table.
Whoa.
Oh no.
Just kidding.
Shut him down.
So you're saying they're gonna have a certain lawyer come in?
Yeah.
No comment.
Awesome. One quick last question, if anybody has one. Alrighty.
Is your opinion on Scrappy Doo?
I know Dante's, so we're gonna start on the left with Chris.
I have a few opinions on Scrappy.
Yeah.
None of which I will be saying at this panel.
Yeah, I mean, but just overall, like you have a lot of goofy characters. It's a cartoon. We're gonna take those goofy characters and we are going to mute the hell out of them if they make it into our show, and they're going to be very like grounded.
I love Scrappy Doo, and he's in episode 1. No, I'm just kidding.
He's the only character in episode 1.
When I was a kid, though, I loved Scrappy Doo and Puppy Power.
I did too, but now
yeah,
I'm like,
and
who
like,
is this guy?
He was created for like kids love Scrappy Doo, and so I've got no problem with Scrappy Doo. What they did to poor Scrappy in the live actions was rough, but I get it. But we have no plans for Scrappy Doo in the show.
As of yet. Never say never.
Yeah, currently we have no plans for Scrappy Doo.
Well,
Sorry, Colin, if you're still here. I know you're gunning for that role.
Yeah, Colin really wants to do Scrappy Doo. Yeah, I mean, I think even in the cartoon show, like Scrappy Doo was brought into the Scooby Doo universe like way like later on, and that was like to help like I think revamp kind of the property a little bit. We're like, oh, let's add in something else, let's bring something different in, and we can like bring this up, you know. But yeah, I think for us, if we did Scrappy Doo, that would be way out, like a couple seasons out, if we got to that point or whatever.
Dade and I, doing some research, found out that was it his wife or his girlfriend or his cousin that Scooby had like a movie star cousin or
There's
something?
so many dogs. There's Scooby Dumb. There's like Scooby D.
There's like the Doos. There's a long family.
There's a whole
lineage.
family of Great Danes.
The Doos run deep.
And it's hard too. I mean, right now Thor's still a puppy, so it'd be weird to bring in another puppy with Thor being a puppy. I think we'd have to give it a good couple years of Thor becoming an adult before we introduced, you know, something different.
But also, like you say, like Thor is a puppy, and look how big Thor is. Like, if we were to try and do a live action Scrappy, it'd have to be a new dog every episode. It was like months old. Like, oh, that dog is 2 months old. He can be Scrappy for like a second. And think about working with a 2-month-old dog.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. The pilot will be coming out soon. You can, So, anything else before we end?
Yeah, I would just say make sure to keep up with the show to check out Mystery Incorporated YouTube, and if you have not seen it yet, we have a teaser trailer on there, about 3 minutes or so, that will really give you a good idea of what the show is going to be. And early next year, we will have it out for you guys.
Absolutely.
Full-length episode.
Perfect. And where can they find more about you guys individually in your work? And all the plugs, all of them.
Yeah, if you've got anything positive to say, you guys can follow me at Cake to Kill on Instagram. If you have anything negative to say, it's at Dade Elza on Instagram.
Wow!
Okay.
Wow! Actually, it's at Dadelza. Thank you very much. But yeah, you can find me on all social media platforms as at Dadelza. The show is on Instagram, and I believe it's at mystery_incorporated_series. And then look up Mystery Incorporated on YouTube, and that's where we have the trailers. We post a lot on there when we do have updates. And yeah, if you haven't seen the trailer, anybody, go check it out.
Also, if you guys pop on our YouTube and you see that our trailer was released in 2020, and you're like, where is the episode? 2020 happened. So we basically had to wait a year until we could actually film our full-length pilot. So that's why it's been so long.
Well, it took us like a year and a half for a high school to even let us film.
Yeah, it was.
Like we couldn't even get
filming during
into
COVID could
high
be an entire different panel. It could be a panel on its own. Anyways, so yeah, Mystery Incorporated, check it out, and my Instagram is made of if you want to see my shenanigans.
If you want to see any of my stuff, I am at Chris Villain on most platforms, except for Twitter. Somebody has my handle. But you can find all my stuff through there. But I 10 out of 10 highly recommend you guys go to the Mystery Incorporated YouTube channel, because there's not only the trailer there, which you guys should watch, but also some music videos that we did.
Oh yeah, we did some fun stuff. Just in the interim of not being able to film our pilot. So check out the shenanigans.
Those are also very fun too.
If you're a fan of Zombie Island, Chris and I do a cover of Terror Time, and it is on the YouTube.
Oh, get out!
Yes, I apologize in advance.
It's so
Okay.
We love it.
Thank you guys so much for being here. I'm so excited for more. I'm Tyler.
Thank you guys for showing up and hanging out. We had a great time.
Yes.
Where can we find you?
You can find me at thegrandgeekgathering.com or the Grand Geek Gathering on anything. We also do I'm mostly known for our panel Unnecessary Debates. That was just like San Diego Comic-Con, LA Comic-Con, Emerald City Comic-Con, C2E2 virtually yesterday, and here last night. You missed it, it was hilarious. And yeah, Unnecessary Debates will be at ALA as well. So
hey, all right, cool.
Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. Be safe.
Yeah, have a good con, everybody.
Thanks.
You are amazing.
Well, guys, there you have it. I'm gonna go outside and check the Sailor Moon gathering. It's probably almost 2 o'clock. But first, I want to get some selfies with the cast. Later.
Come on, Scooby Doo, I see you pretending you got a sliver. You're not fooling me, cause I can see the way you shake and shiver. You know we've gotta